Hello and welcome to Yerushalmi Berachos Daf Tzadi Gimel in the Ozvahar print. We are on the second to last page, Be'ezer Hashem, and we are just beginning Yerushalmi and understanding. You know, I always used to say most of the Masechtas in Yerushalmi are shorter, much significantly shorter than the Bavli. But in the Vilna print of the Bavli, Berachos is 64 pages. Daf Samach Dalet is its last page, I believe. And I always say, I believe there are 4 Masechtas in Yerushalmi that are longer, only in that are longer than the Bavli counterpart, and this is one of them. Obviously, 94 pages in the Ozvahar print, but also in the Vilna print, it's Samaches, so it's 68. So even that does it by 4 pages. But a couple of very interesting R's about the end of Berachos as we wind down Hashem today. A couple of quick R's and one global one, and then tomorrow Hashem last R on the Masechta and a Siyam thought as well. And for those of you that have been with me since the beginning, thank you for your encouragement. I always appreciate your feedback, and you really make this podcast with all the divuk chaverim and feedback. Now, this is just so beautiful. Rabrachi b'shem Rav Levi. The last mission is talking about how you have to thank Hashem for the good, and we have to thank Hashem for the bad as well, in what appears bad to us. So he says, Pasuk says, V'ata marom la'olam Hashem. Such beautiful words. You are exalted, Hashem. Le'olam yadcha el halyona. These words are so powerful. Rebbi Shalom, your hand is always in the uppermost. You always have the upper hand. What does that mean? Hashem has the upper hand. It's that you don't have to explain yourself, Hashem. We don't understand you. And you have the upper hand in that your way of running the world is the most amazing way of running the world. And that's something that we always have to be aware of, that the Rebbi Shalom runs the world. Okay, then we have Amr of Yudin ben Pila. These are just beautiful thoughts that really, really should inspire us and change the way we look at life. Husha Eov Amr. Now, I just want to point out that there's a contrast between Eov and Avram Avinu. The Gemara later will say that Eov was not on the same level as Avram, obviously. Ayin Sham, you'll see, but there's just an interesting contrast that even in this pasuk, Eov is actually being quoted, and this is a pasuk that's used very frequently, and this might be why. Hashem nasan mashal lakach yishem Hashem varach. What did he say? Kishen nasan. The Chazal explained, when Hashem gave Barachim Nasan, He gave us whatever He gave with Rachamim. Geshalakach, when He took Barachim Lakach, He took it with mercy. And that's an amazing thing to think about, that it's not just the pshat. I one time said to one of my children, I said, this strict thing that I had to talk to you about was 100% given with love. And I will not back down, and I will not apologize for what I said and for this strict thing that is for your best interest. But the only thing that I could apologize for is that maybe it didn't land on you in love. I'm not like Hashem, where everything Hashem does is from love, and obviously sometimes we have to hear that and feel that as well. But I said that I could apologize for. If you didn't feel the love the entire time, that's something I could work on. Rebbi Shalom does things when He gives with love, and when He takes with love. It's an amazing thing. Below, another thing Rav Yudin says, God didn't ask anyone's permission when He gave. But when Hashem takes, He consults His entire court, kaviyachol. And that's an amazing thing to recognize, that the Rebbi Shalom, everything that Hashem gives, Hashem Nasan, Hashem Lakach, is with a tremendous cheshbon. The Gemara says that Avraham versus David, Avraham was able to be Napach his Yetzahar Latov, which is a very fascinating thing. Part of being Mischased and Boro was turning it into Chesed, and David wasn't able to. He had to just kill it. Libi Chol B'Kirbi. You're going to ask, what about his sin with Bathsheba? The Gemara says, and the Bavli says that he was not roy for that Avera. And the last thing I want to say is very interesting, that there's a lot of Girsos changes in the story of Rebbi Akiva, that he was Yatzin Nishmaso B'Echad, even though the Yerushalmi actually doesn't even say that. But it says that he wanted to, it tells over the story at the end of his life. And then he said, not just when will this pasuk come to my life, come to my hands, that I can fulfill it. He wanted all 3. I loved Hashem with all my heart, with all my money, and he was very rich, so he gave it all to Hashem. But that one I never got to fulfill. He wanted all 3, and in this lashon, it seems like he even wanted them together. But anyway, that's a very, very different girsa. So the question is, why is this story brought down? In the end of Berachos, it's also brought down in the Bavli also. So it must be that this element of Rebbi Akiva's Mesiras Nefesh is part and parcel of the whole Maseches Berachos. It's of course part of Kriyas Shema, because he died saying Shema, and it's part and parcel of how we make Berachos to Hashem with an absolute dedication. I want to say also that there's a very famous thing that the Gemara says, Nechemyah Amsuni, or according to the other Gersos, Shimon Amsuni was Mishamish Rebbi Akiva in the Bavli Yerushalmi, and Es Hashem Lakecha L'Rabos, you're going to say the words Talmidei Chachamim. That's the Bavli's version of Psachim. Chaf Beis Amon Beis. Yerushalmi says, Osov es Toraso. You should honor Hashem and His Torah. But l'chora hainu hach. Hashem's Torah is what He gave, the power He gave to the Chachamim. We know the famous Vart. That why did He say this Vart now? Because in the story of how Akiva dies, he was Moser Nefesh Hashem. That's where you see this power that he of Es L'Rabos Tamid Chachamim, or Osav Es L'Raso. And the last thing, it's very beautiful because after Akiva's death, which is recorded in the Gemara here, one of the next members is Amar Akiva. Akiva Omer is an opinion of Akiva, that meaning he didn't die. Just like Yaakov Lo Mace, by the way, we've talked about the correlation between the two. The next Gemara is he didn't die. He's mamish still teaching Torah, because if you connect the Torah, then you're alive forever, and that's an amazing thing to keep in mind.